We pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And call this evening's meeting to order. First, we're going to do fire department introductions.
I'm Bruce Artig. I had the pleasure of being the fire chief for the Paola Fire Department. 2 weeks ago, I had the honor of promoting several people at the fire department, and I'll bring them up individually and introduce them. So John Hinman, we promoted him to deputy chief of the fire department. John's been with the Paola Fire Department 33 years, so a lot of history. And yeah, that's a few of knowledge organization. With his promotion to deputy chief, it opened up several positions below that. Captain Chris Courtney, he has 23 years in the Paola Fire Department. Again, a lot of history there and knowledge. Mark Farmer, we promoted to captain. He brings to the organization 20 years of time and grade. And then we promoted several lieutenants. One of our lieutenants here with him, he's been in position for a while, is Jeff Van Donzel, is one of our lieutenants. We've been here almost going on 19 years, right? 18. Yeah. So, and then our newest lieutenants promoted to the organization, Jacob Maynard, 7 years with the department, and then Jacob Hinton. You might recognize that name again. So again, he has 7 years with the organization. One of our lieutenants that's not here tonight is Cam Johnson. He was promoted several years ago with Jeff. So this is our command staff for the Paola Fire Department.
Get it? Like each other. Gotcha. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all so much for serving. The longevity speaks a lot about the fire department. It's important and it shows. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have the life-saving awards.
All right. My name is Chad Corbin. I'm the chief of police here at Paola. Today I'm pleased to present awards to 2 members of our community and to several of our police officers. I'll try to keep this as short as possible, but it's going to be in there. All right. Can I get Lucas and Matthew Nance come up? Lucas is 17, Matthew's 15. And can I get Sergeant Nathan Othout, Officer Connor Hoagland, and Officer Zachary Jared come up? These individuals will be receiving life-saving awards. Officer Jared will be receiving the Award of Excellence. And give you a little synopsis of what occurred. On March 5th of 2025, at 33 minutes past midnight, Paola police officers and Paola firefighters were dispatched to 204 East Peoria Street on a house fire. This is a multi-unit, 2-story house that had been turned into apartments. Weather played a significant role in this fire. The weather on this day was approximately 32 degrees and dropping, with sustained winds of 22 miles an hour and gusts to 40 to 60. Needless to say, it was a miserable day to be outside. The reason why they were dispatched to this fire and what transpired before officers and firefighters arrived is one reason why we are here today. Today, we recognize Lucas and Matthew Nance. Lucas was in his bedroom and awake like every other teenager on a Wednesday night at midnight, and noticed the house next to him was on fire. The fire had started on the northwest corner of the exterior of the house. Now, unlike other teenagers on a Wednesday night, Lucas actually got out of bed and immediately knocked on his father's door to alert him of the fire and have him call 911. Lucas then ran out of his residence in the freezing temperatures to the neighbors at 204 East Peoria and began knocking on the bottom and top floors to alert his neighbors of the fire. The doors were located on the south and east sides of the house, and wind on this cold night was out of the northwest as the fire began to spread quickly. The smoke was blowing in the direction of Lucas and was making it hard to see and breathe. Lucas was able to hear several residents respond to his knocking. Due to the smoke filling the building and hearing officers arriving, he exited the building. Matthew attempted to call one of the residents at 204 East Peoria and alert them of the fire. Due to the cold and wind temperatures, Matthew took blankets from his residence and gave them to the residents of 204 East Peoria that were standing outside. Once victims moved to the shelter of the fire station, Matthew continued to bring blankets, clothing, and flood and food to the victims. These selfless actions by members of our community that are teenagers give me hope that not all is lost in America. When there are so many that just want a like from a selfie or would rather film the fire with their phone in hand than risk anything, these boys got involved. We here in Paola, Kansas have two boys that are willing to risk themselves for others. To the parents of Lucas and Matthew, I say thank you. When seconds matter, your boys made good decisions and they helped make a difference in 9 people's lives on this day. Because of their actions of putting others above self, I present them with the Citizen Life Saving Award. Lucas. Thank you. Matthew.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take a picture.
Hold on one second. Now, boys, when you turn 21, you want to be cops. Few years, I'm sure I'll have open positions. Now for the rest of the story. Sergeant Nathan Othout, Officer Connor Hoagland were dispatched to the same fire. And Officer Zachary Jared, who was off duty and just hanging out and still in training, couldn't stand by, also responded to the fire. By the time officers arrived, the west and north side along the roof were on fire. With the power lines still arcing, Sergeant Othout and Officer Hoagland began pounding on doors. Several of the residents were already awake and began exiting their apartments thanks to the Nance boys. Those doors that received no response were quickly kicked in, which cops love to do. Sergeant Othout and Officer Hoagland went from room to smoky room, ensuring everyone had been evacuated from the building. As people left their homes, Officer Jared directed them across the street and eventually to the firehouse for shelter. He maintained accountability for everyone and remained calm without supervisor oversight. He represented himself and the police department with pride, performing at a level I expect from an experienced officer. He demonstrated empathy and compassion and took the initiative to ensure all residents were accounted for. Sergeant Othout and Officer Hoagland are being awarded the Life Saving Award, and Officer Jared is being awarded the Award of Excellence. Sergeant Othout. Congratulations. Officer Hoagland. Yeah. And Officer Jared. Thank you, sir. Boys, can you have a seat? Thank you. Next, I need Lieutenant Gazzano, Officer Rakowski, and Officer Halquist. We play shuffle the officers. These officers are receiving life-saving awards due to their actions on May 30th. At approximately 10:18 hours, officers were dispatched to an unresponsive person within Paola, which was later upgraded to a non-breathing. Officers arrived on scene with an AED, and within 3 minutes and 30 seconds, officers had completed their assessment and started CPR. At 3 minutes 45 seconds, the first shock was delivered. All three officers worked together as a team, taking turns administering CPR until EMS arrived and were able to hook up their machines to the subject. Shortly after EMS arrived, they confirmed that the subject's rhythm was positive and the person was attempting to breathe on their own while being assisted with the machine. All this was done in under 10 minutes of being dispatched to the call. Deputy Chief Matt Gamblin with the Miami County EMS confirmed without the amazing skills and deliberate teamwork of our officers, he did not believe the prognosis would be as positive. The subject is expected to make a full recovery. Now, we ran out of plaque. We had a plaque. Here. Good job, thank you. Good job, thank you. Go ahead, Liz. Next is Officer Watson. Officer Watson is receiving a life-saving award due to his actions on June 29th. Officer Watson was dispatched to a residence in Paola on a female lying on the ground unconscious with agonal breathing. This type of breathing is associated with severe medical emergencies when the brain is not getting enough oxygen, often due to cardiac arrest. Officer Watson arrived on scene and immediately assessed the patient and began CPR. Officer Watson completed 2 cycles of CPR and was able to get a pulse as EMS arrived on scene. EMS advised while en route to the hospital, the patient regained consciousness and was talking. She also is expected to make a full recovery. Congratulations, officer. Good. Thank you. That completes our life-saving awards. Now I have our Officer of the Year award for 2024. Officer Hoagland, come on up. This is an award that is selected every year by our supervisors. This award is for an outstanding achievement, which brings credit to our department and which involves performance above and beyond that which is required by an officer's assignment. In 2024, our department faced numerous challenges, including staff shortages, low morale, and excessive overtime. Despite these obstacles, Officer Hoagland stood out in his commitment to his duties and safety of our community. Officer Hoagland maintained a proactive approach to his work, focusing on critical areas such as drug interdiction. He consistently patrolled our known hotspots, executing strategic traffic stops that resulted in arrests and seizures. His efforts did not go unnoticed. In a conversation with a known drug offender, they acknowledged Officer Hoagland as a good one, recognizing his skill and determination in combating the community drug problem. This kind of feedback from those individuals involved in criminal activities speaks volumes about his effectiveness and professionalism. Officer Hoagland has laid a strong foundation of knowledge in drug interdiction, continuously seeking to improve and adapt to the ever-evolving challenges of law enforcement. His ability to stay focused and motivated, even in the face of adversity, exemplifies the qualities we value in our officers. Congratulations. You. Next, I have our detective pending. Will Detective Johnson step on? Today doing his pending, Officer Johnson has been with us a short time. This is his second time with us. And he is being moved to detective. And pending him today will be his wife, Kelly. Don't count unless he wins this. All right, thanks. So with the officers of the Paola Police Department and the citizens like Lucas and Matthew, we are all in good and capable hands. Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
That's your grandson, Paola? Congratulations.
All right, I guess everybody will leave. I think whenever you have fire department staff and police staff that get awards like that and serve as long as they have it, raises the standard, which is good.
Everybody looks so.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was very nice.
Very, very good. Very good.
That's a fun way to start it. All right, so next we have the consent agenda. Is there anybody on the council that had anything on the consent agenda? If not, is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented and authorize the mayor to sign.
I'll second that motion, Ms. Shields.
I was just gonna tell you the pledge collateral is actually what was laying on your.
Yes, right here.
We got here, yeah,
Yes.
I just was missing one when I took it back,
Oh.
so you have everything that's part of. the
Yes,
consent
yes.
agenda. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Who was the second? I'm sorry.
JR.
McMahon,
All
Bingo,
Aye.
Shields.
Aye.
right, motion approved. Thank you. No comments from the public, I'm assuming, since no one is here.
No.
That's pretty easy.
Oh.
All right, new business, and this is the 2025 Miami County Fair Lease Agreement. This is what we do each year.
Every year, yes, nothing has changed. They would be in the area across from the playground down at the bottom of the loop. We continue to put in that they cannot have animals as prizes, and there's just, because that's the law.
Yeah. Kind of important to follow that.
Yeah,
And this is basically, I mean, for liability for us.
correct,
To
yeah,
keep us
because it's
from
on
liability.
city property,
Yeah.
yes, and they provide insurance, so.
Anybody have any questions on that? If not, is there a motion?
I move to approve the lease agreement with the Miami County Fair Association and authorize the necessary signatures.
I'll second that motion, Ms. Mayor.
McMahon.
Aye.
Hugo.
Aye.
Shields.
Aye.
All right, motion approved. Thank you. The demolition bid award for 610 East Kaskaskia.
So last month, guys allowed staff to advertise for bid the demolition of 610 East Kaskaskia, the barn at that location. Bids were advertised in the newspaper as well as posted to the City of Paola website and social media. Solicitation for bids was open from June 13th through June 27th. Bids were received by the deadline and are summarized as Gowings Construction being at $5,000. Hammer and Toe being at $5,600. SH Flatworks being at $7,500. Hasty Excavating Company at $9,800 and GB Construction at $25,000. The lowest bid is Gowings Construction with $5,000 for the demolition of the barn at 610 East Kaskaskia. Submitted bid proposals are valid for a period of 60 days. The staff's recommendation was going with Gowings Construction for $5,000.
And we've worked with them before, correct?
Correct. They're the company that tore down the house at 401
Okay.
East Kaskaskia. They've done good work.
Good. All right, anybody have any questions on that?
And the 5,000 is the max cost that the city would be paying if we award this bid, correct? It can't go above that in any capacity.
Correct, that would be what their bid, yeah, we'll lock up for it.
All right, there are no other questions, or is there a motion?
I move to award the demolition bid for the barn at 610 East Kaskaskia to Gowings Construction in the amount of $5,000 and authorize the necessary signatures.
I second that motion.
McMahon,
Aye.
Hugo.
Aye.
Shields.
Aye.
All right, motion passed. Next, we have an ordinance number 3233. And that's a project authorization.
Yes, so as discussed at the work study meeting, the city is interested in, authorizing these 3 projects that we discussed, which are addressing the stream bank erosion along Weir Creek that impacts the city's main water line. Updating the water meters, because our current, equipment is getting outdated and will no longer be supported. And then lastly would be to, replace certain water service lines to reduce lead and copper as required by, the EPA that we have talked about that is coming down. So the first step in the bond process is an authorizing resolution, and that just gives, essentially is the council is approving these 3 projects to allow us to go out and shop for bonds. This is not saying, approving the bonds right now. So the next step after this resolution is approved is, staff will meet with our financial advisor and we'll go over some financing options. Like we talked about, we can do the bonds ourselves, or we can be a part of a water association. So we're gonna explore both of those, see which one works better for us. And then in August, you'll adopt a resolution, adopting the bond parameters. So that's exactly how much and exactly what projects. It just kind of financializes everything. And it also allows our bond council to sell the bonds, and that's where everything, all the magic happens essentially. And then in September, you will approve the legal documents and the closing memo, and then September 10th, you will have the money deposit to our bank account. So this is just the first step. All of these projects are, like I said, water infrastructure and are permitted under the Water Act from the Kansas statutes. So no election is required or anything like that. We are permitted to do this.
Did we have the meeting with the gas company this week, or is it next week?
We were gonna have it this week, but they postponed it to next week.
Okay.
But I will point out that in the resolution, it says to either stabilize the stream bank or reroute the water line. So
Okay.
either way, we are
You've been
fine.
covered either way.
Yes.
Okay. And like we talked about, bonds aren't our favorite, but sometimes they're the best way to handle these
Yes.
big projects.
And we already have a mechanism in place to pay these off. We have the bond and interest mill levy. And currently we are paying this Justice Center off, and that gets paid off in 26. So we will utilize the funds that are paying that off to pay off this, and it should be paid off in 4 years. We'll not have to increase that mill at all to be able to pay it off, by the way, so.
All right, anybody else have questions or comments?
Just a couple questions here. This ordinance number 3233, Ms. Shannon, did this get published in the paper? Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, and then after it gets published in the paper and then our public can look at it, then we'll proceed with what you just said in that process.
Yes.
Right, so we have that. As we talked last time, it's been run by legal and been all approved, our process. One thing is, this is kind of not this is stuff that we have to do. I mean, we have to get our water line out of risk. That has to be done. Number 2 is that we have to upgrade our meters, and I believe, Brett, that this is all done internally.
Yes,
So you'll be doing that, and then we're looking at getting rid of some of the galvanized /lead/copper lines, which is probably a start of what I would think would be a bigger program to start replacing some of our underground lines. That we have that, and that will be done with internal.
that was the intent, yes, and as we talked about in the meeting. Down the road, if we had to, we could always look at, because we do have 10 years to do the full replacement of all the plants, so that is the intention, is to actually do it internal.
Okay, so you have that. I do like the way that we have our bonds. I'm not a big bond person, but, this is have to, and I understand that. But I do like bond issuance being, replacing another bond issuance. I think that's, good thinking by by city staff. And I do like that we're able to keep, our interest rates down. And that we're paying this off in 4 years, and we're not stretching it out, with that. And like I said, I think people got to realize is that I think we have to pay for so much water out of that water plant no matter what. So I know we can supplement it with rural water number 2, but ultimately we have a payment to pay to our water district and, I mean, to the PUA. I have no more questions, Ms. Mayor.
If not, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, since I've been off and all about it, motion to approve ordinance 3233, project authorization, and authorize the necessary signatures, Ms. Mayor.
Second the motion.
McMahon,
Aye.
Hugo. Shields.
Aye.
All right. Motion passed. Next, we have the notice to exceed the revenue neutral rate and set the public hearing.
So the city's revenue neutral rate for 2026 budget is 40.621. The actual rate that was levied in 2025 is 42.353. Although we have had many budget discussions, which were fantastic, and like city, thanks again for all of that input. A final budget has not been decided, so with the budget that we have discussed, the 42.242 would allow for us to adjust if needed. You can adjust down, but you just can't go up. So we are proposing that we submit the notice to the county clerk at the 42.242. That will be sent out in the notices to all the residents. If we were to consider the revenue neutral rate, we would need to cut $145,700 from the budget that we have discussed.
How much would we have to cut?
145,700. It's on page 2 of you.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'll.
Which, as we talked about in the meeting, is likely staff.
Yes, the easiest way to go about that is to get rid of non-filled open positions or free salaries. Yes, that is the easiest way to go about it.
Which is not easy.
Not easy or
Which is
ideal.
usually why we
Yeah.
don't end up doing it.
Yeah.
All right. I just wanted that to be known. We don't have a lot of fluff in our budget.
We don't. And we love our employees.
Yes, we do. All right. Anybody have any? It's pretty much, it just sets the hearing. That's what it does, and says this is our max. So then we kind of get back to work on it until then. So.
Yeah, so the budget, we'll actually have the hearing, would be at the September meeting. We open the hearing. We actually need to approve a resolution to exceed the revenue neutral rate during the public hearing.
Mhm.
And then you can do your budget hearing. It has to be perfect order.
Back to back, yeah,
Yes.
because the R&R has to go first
Mhm.
and then the budget hearing.
Yes.
But I think it's good we do them at the same meeting because it just gets it all done and it's
It is
cleaner, I
very
think.
clean. Yes.
Mhm. All right, anybody have any questions on it?
No, I didn't want to interrupt that again. You know, council did look at trying to go revenue neutral, but, you know, when I sit there and I'm kind of a movie data's guy, and I see that we gotta have lines that have to be replaced, okay? And I see meters that have to be done. And then I turn back around and just like tonight, we give lifesaver awards, and these 2 gentlemen sitting next to me. They have to have the funds and they have to have the ability to do the things. So we can have the lifesaver awards and we can do things. And so with that, and ultimately, I've always told everybody, if you want to back the blue, it's going to take a little green. And that's just the way that it works. So I don't have,
red.
I don't have anything.
Blue and red. That, blue and red.
Huh?
Blue and red.
Blue and red.
Blue and red.
I see white. Came close. All right, let's try that again. When you turn back the blue and the red,
There we go.
you gotta have some green.
Love it. Thank you.
And we'll go from there. So I do apologize for that. But that, and like I said, it ultimately, I always, like I tell everybody, is that you can have the nicest fire trucks. You can have the most equipment, you can have all everything. but unless you got the people behind it to do it, it kind of stands for naught. So ultimately, we're in the people business, and that takes money. I mean, at the end of the day, and we gotta keep our employees, you know, not only paid properly, we gotta go in and we gotta make sure that they get the proper equipment. And the 145.7, and that's the most we'll go over, and I know that your city staff is trying to whittle that down. One thing, and I don't wanna be remiss, and I don't wanna say anything with you, Mayor, this council decided that we're gonna start spending a little bit of money on coming up with some ideas down at the square, and that's gonna be in this budget also. So that's kind of a one-time expense that we have, but ultimately, I think there's a lot of good items. I don't see any fluff in the budget, and I reviewed it the other day, so I'll turn it over to the other two council members. And, again, my apologies.
Anybody else have anything?
Hmm.
All right. Now, is there a motion?
I move to notify the county clerk of the intent to exceed the revenue neutral rate and set the revenue neutral rate public hearing and budget public hearing for September 9th, 2025 at 6 p.m. at the Paola Justice Center.
I second that motion.
McMahon,
Aye.
Hugo.
Aye.
Shields.
Aye.
All right, motion passed. Thank you. We keep ourselves in a good financial position that gives us the options to do the big projects with other financing mechanisms, which is also good. I don't think people always understand how that helps our budget. All right, so staff reports. Chief Hardig, you're in here. You have anything you want to say? Report on?
No, I appreciate you allowing us to be here and recognize
Mhm.
our new officers, so.
We're
We've got a lot
about
of great people and they're willing to do some hard work, and so we're looking at what that looks like for us moving forward.
We're glad to have you here. Chief Gordon?
No, it's just been busy, obviously, with all the awards, two life-saving awards here pretty quickly, recently. So yeah, just a lot of training on our side with the new officers. We have one hopefully going on our own here in a couple weeks, then another one 6 weeks. So we're looking forward to getting those two out on their own. We do have one currently at the academy. So she said driving back and forth every week. And she's only in her second week, so she's got a long way to go before she's out on her own, but we're moving forward, so we're happy about that.
How many weeks is the academy?
14.
14 weeks.
They don't count for holidays, so she had a week off for the July 4th, so that actually
Yeah.
set her back. You know, so it adds to that, technically it's 15 weeks.
Mm.
But we are able to use her for a little bit while she's off,
Yeah.
and can continue her training while she's here, so
Is it in Hutchinson?
it is a nutshell. Yep.
Long drive.
Your view, as we call it.
Oh.
All right. Brett?
Just the only thing, we're getting closer on the completion of the dam. The seeding and strawing has been done. Did a final walkthrough with Call Valley. And there's a small punch list, but they kind of got slowed down on that because we finally started getting some rain, which is good for the seed, but just getting closer on it.
Rich?
We are up to 302 permits for the year. So in comparison last year, this time we were at 215.
Good.
So we're rocking and rolling with permits. We've got 3 new house permits in the last month. So
Awesome.
houses are picking up too. Hopefully that continues. It looks like it's going to continue at least for the next building season.
Is it continuing to be a mix of old neighborhood, new?
Mhm.
That's
Yep.
good.
Yeah, we have one on Sundance. These last 3 have been Sundance, Heatherwood, Rockwood. But we've got another house move coming up on an infill lot and another house permit that was issued last month for an infill lot.
Good.
So, yep, it's a good mix.
Mhm.
Burr Oak 3 development that council approved earlier this year, I believe.
Mhm.
They just got their permit to start doing all the infrastructure, all the road and utility build out, so that'll be 6 more lots that are fully ready to build on here before too long, so
Very good.
be a good thing. Planning Commission this month, I gave the planning commission our subdivision regulations to go through. Our land development ordinance is getting outdated, so, and as opposed to having a company go through the entire, LDO right now, we're gonna start just kind of picking at it and going through it. This week, we're gonna go over any changes they see that they want to make. We'll look at doing some changes and at least get kind of a head start on a whole overhaul of everything. Next month, we will have 3 or 2 conditional use permits. So that's good. And I'm sure you guys have seen on Facebook, the ice cream house posting a lot.
People are excited.
Yep. We're right there. They got a couple little things to fix their inspections, but they should be opening up very, very shortly. So, yeah, that's all I got.
Okay. Randy,
I have nothing to add at this time.
all right, Stephanie,
Me
okay. That's all. Jared, you have anything?
Just a couple of things is, boy, it'd be nice if the council would show up at our next work session, may or maybe have a little bit of ice cream.
I told you why.
And
Leanne's picking up the tab.
What is it we're having?
He wants me to buy everybody ice cream.
Oh,
at our next work session.
Oh, you could work that one, yeah.
Ice cream.
Maybe I'll
the
get.
ice cream shop.
Yeah.
It'll work out, work out good, so with that. One thing I did notice here is that, when I first ran for council, you know, lots of times you rely on your old job. And, you know, so you drag all that stuff from your old job, which you did into your new one. And some things translate, a lot of things don't translate, but, one thing, and always kind of been on the outside looking in, and tonight was, you know, is a good day to be a council member. I see professional staff, I see our officers, I see our firefighters. I see everything in such really, really good hands. But the number one thing that I did notice the difference, and Paola, I think, has a lot of it, is Paola has a huge sense of community. And they really, really do. And they got a lot of positive stuff that's going on with the community. So, you know, Chief Arctic and Chief Corbin, thank you for the work you do. Miss Shannon, thank you. And I would be remiss without Stephanie, Mitch, and Brett. So don't think for one second, I don't speak for the council, but I think I do. We do appreciate everything that you all do very, very much. Turn it over to you. Mr. Hugo.
No, I said you can speak for me on that. I echo that sentiment. There's a good fireworks show at the lake. Yeah, very much enjoyed that. It was good to see everybody turn out. And
Was that your first one?
it
here?
was exciting. The kids had a grand time.
Good.
Outside of that, Brett, I was gonna ask, the fountain is looking a little green.
Yeah, he has to shock it every once in a while. I'm gonna get him that vacuum and have him start vacuuming it just like the pool.
Okay, I just wondered, wanted to make sure it looks good before roots.
Oh, yeah.
Turn it off during roots, I think. The actual fountain part, don't they?
Just because the noise of it.
Yeah, yeah. Which they may be asking you to do during Alumni Weekend next year if they do a thing on the square again. I don't know. And you don't realize how loud it is until you're trying to listen to something right next to it.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I didn't have anything.
Leanne?
No.
Nothing? All right, I just have a couple of things. Great work study meeting last week. I thought it was very good, very productive, and we got out of there about an hour earlier than I thought we were going to. Because of previous work study with budget, so I just thought it was a really productive and good meeting. Also, we have a lot of quality staff, but it starts with quality leadership. And kind of like what JR said, thank you all of you. For your quality leadership, because that's where it starts, so we really appreciate it. Makes it easier to do our jobs. And that's all I have. Anybody wants to motion to adjourn?
I make motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
McMahon.
Aye.
Hugo.
Aye.
Shields.
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned.